Hello everybody, it's me, the Real Local Maniac. I'm back again with another 8-Bit Wars. Now, as you can see, today I'll be playing the classic arcade game by Atari, which is Gauntlet. Now, I absolutely loved this game when I first played it because I hadn't played anything quite like it. Okay, first of all, you've got some nice sampled speech here. It does sound like it's Dr. Stephen Hawkins who's telling you what to do. He's like the dungeon master in this game. So yeah, Stephen Hawkins will talk to you throughout the game. But in all seriousness, the reason why I loved this game so much was because it was 4 players, and there weren't many games at the time. Well, I can't think of any that were 4 players at the time. I'm sure some came out afterwards, but this game was just, it was amazing for that reason. So me and my friends, we could sort of just sit around. Well, sit around. We would stand up and play this game in the arcades. Now guys, I want you to compare the graphics. Well, I want you to pay attention to the graphics so we can compare them a little bit later on. You know, although the graphics are very, very basic, you know, this is kind of an old arcade game, I think it still looks pretty nice, and I think because of the fact that it was basic, it worked very well on the 3 8-bit systems. I also want you to pay attention to the amount of baddies that you get on screen at the same time, and also how fast they move and the way they look and everything. I mean, the 8-bit ports are very faithful, actually. I've got to give them credit. But again, like I said, it's a very basic arcade game because it's an old game, you know. And I think it worked very well. Alright, so here we go. Look at that. Get some energy. I love this game. The reason why I love this game so much was because you really felt like a sense of danger in this game. It kind of feels like an old-fashioned Left 4 Dead. You know, when you play Left 4 Dead, it's basically you versus all the undead, and in this it's you versus all the monsters. And sometimes you can save your friend, other times you think, to hell with that, I'm leaving my friend, and you have to make that decision. Right, now this is Gauntlet on the ZX Spectrum. Some lovely music there. I like the little bra thing that woman's wearing there. It looks like she can shoot lasers or, I don't know, something out of it. But they both look like they're ready for battle. Some fantastic music. Now, as you can see there, the music's done by Ben Douglas, and it's great music. This game, I think, was done by US Gold, and surprised. You know, it's actually a pretty good game. US Gold had a knack of sort of messing up a bunch of games. So you've got your 4 selectable characters there. On the 8-bit computers, you can actually play 4 players at the same time. But you know what? Back in those days, you didn't care. You know, you had your conversion of the arcade machine at home. So like you or your brother or a cousin or a friend could sit down and play together in this game. And it really helped. That's the whole thing about Gauntlet, you know, it's an exciting game if you're sort of playing with 4 people at the same time, but if you're just by yourself, it's not quite the same thing. Alright, so here we go, starting the tape. Level 1. Now the first thing you'll notice, the graphics are very, very basic, but again, like I said, the arcade game was very, very basic. So this suited the Spectrum fantastically. I mean, look at the maze there, it's just like a yellow line with a red line around it. It does say exit there, just like the arcade game. In one of the versions, it doesn't say exit, it says E. But again, you've got that lovely music that every time you finish a level. Now everything does move along at a nice speed. I like the way the Spectrum version controls. It controls really well, you know, like if you want to shoot diagonally, you shoot diagonally. All your weapons that you shoot out come out straight away when you press the fire button. There is a problem with one of the other versions that I'll talk about that when I get that version to come out. Right, so let me get that treasure. But all in all, this is a fantastic conversion. I think it's a little bit let down by the graphics. I mean, games aren't to do with graphics really, but all the other versions are a lot prettier than this version. This version's just lacking in that sort of like graphical department. But all in all, it's an amazing conversion, and when you think about it, you know, this is one of the earliest sort of Spectrum games, and they did an amazing job of converting the Atari arcade machine into this, and it still plays pretty well to this day. But all in all, fantastic conversion. It's going to be sort of tough 8-bit wars. So, yep. Right, so this is the Amstrad version of Gauntlet. Now, did you hear that music? That music was absolutely fantastic. Once again, the music was done by Ben Douglas. And guys, first thing I want to do is quickly apologise. The sound may sound out of sync on the Amstrad version, and the reason being is because I'm basically emulating it on Winape. For some reason it seems to slow down. If one of you guys can sort of help me out with that, that would be fantastic. Alright, so I'm going to poke the Thor warrior there in the eye. Kind of looks like Hulk Hogan. Right, so I'm prepared to play. Now listen to that music. The music's absolutely really good. It's a lot better than ZX Spectrum. It kind of sounds like they sort of like use one side. I don't know. The music seems to sort of emanate from both sides of my little monitor here. It's really, really good. And this is the version I was telling you about. It doesn't say exit there on the exit. It's just got the letter E. Now graphically this is a little bit better than the ZX Spectrum. I quite like the colour scheme apart from this particular level. But I think everything looks a lot nicer. It doesn't look as empty as it did on the Spectrum, because the Spectrum, you know, every level is pretty much just black background and just with a different colour maze basically. The controls feel really, really good in this as well. I don't find that the controls control as well as the ZX Spectrum, but I think this game basically does beat it hands down when it comes to the sound effects. Now, like I said, there's a bit of a lag there with the sound effects due to my emulation there, so apologise about that. But again, I think the music in this is absolutely superb. Colour-wise, it looks a lot prettier than it does on the ZX Spectrum. It moves at a nice, decent rate as well, and it's very responsive as well. Not quite as responsive, I would say, as the ZX Spectrum. But you know what, if I hadn't played that version, I would probably say, you know, this controls fantastically, you know, as well. But it is going to be a tough 8-bit wars because all three versions are really accurate arcade conversions, and they all look and play that little bit different as well, which is interesting. Right, so this is the Commodore 64 version of Gauntlet. I love that music. Now, I thought the Amstrad music was amazing, but you've got to love the SID rendition of the Gauntlet music, which I believe once again was done by Ben Douglas. I'm a big fan of the SID chip, and I still listen to music from the SID. I've got like an app on my iPhone, and I basically listen to some SID music when I'm doing a bit of housework and stuff like that. So once again, you've got the 4 selectable characters there. You can only be 2 at the same time, unlike the arcade. So I selected 1 player. Right, so here we go. Let's wait for this to load up. While this is loading up, guys, let me quickly tell you I've got loads more 8-bit wars, you know, coming up. I've got Way of the Exploding Fish, Smash TV, I said fish, Way of the Exploding Fist, I should say, Batman, the movie, Vigilante, IK+, Commando, Strider, Rick Dangerous 2, and like loads more, so keep an eye out for that. I am a little bit delayed with my video. This is the week of the 8-bit wars, but my computer broke down, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second or two. Now, basically, this plays like the fastest out of all the 3 different versions. And the graphics look very, very nice as well. Now, let me quickly start pointing out the bad things in this. I don't think this controls as good as the Amstrad or the ZX Spectrum. It's not as responsive. When you're trying to shoot things, it takes a little bit longer for your actual axe or whatever it is that you shoot out to actually hit them. But all in all, it's a good looking game. It looks really well. The colours don't sort of blend in with the warrior. You can actually see what's going on. It's going to be a tough one. Either this or the Amstrad version is going to be the winner of today's 8-bit wars. Now, I'm not saying that the ZX Spectrum version isn't a good version, but it's just this and the Amstrad look that little bit better. Now, I do feel that the Spectrum controls a little bit better, but it does look very bland. So it's going to be a tough call, but you know what, guys? I'm going to have to go for the Amstrad version. So, yep, that's the winner. Goodbye, guys. See you next time.